Speaking at the opening of the inaugural Africa Economic Summit, Standard Chartered Lead Economist for Africa and Middle East, Razia Khan, has warned that Kenya's debt, though sustainable, poses a downside risk to economic growth in the medium term if not tamed.
Kenya needs to be in a stronger place to be able to say, we've put in place the reform, we've done everything that we need to keep growth sustained, the outlook is clear. The economies that manage to do that will be the relative winners. The economies that fail to take advantage of those conditions and fail to go as rapidly as they should be going in reducing their fiscal deficits, reassuring on their debt profiles, may not be in a position to benefit from that renewed appetite for emerging markets and frontier markets when it eventually materializes.
Kenya's public debt currently stands at 57.2%, and it is expected to breach 60% of GDP next year. Khan has further urged the National Assembly to fast-track the debate on the interest rate cap, saying the slow growth of the credit market is hurting Kenya's economic well-being. United Nations Conference on Trade and Development Secretary General Mohisa Kitui has urged African governments to facilitate the participation of private sector in project implementation.
We are living in uncertain times. One of the main things that are going to hold us, keep a positive momentum, is how we ride out short-term uncertainties. As a country, for example, Kenya is grappling with the challenge. We drove the East African integration, but we have seen a steady erosion of Kenyan market share in the East African market. Okay, it may be interesting that we're now looking at possibilities of cross-border economic zones with Ethiopia. It's good to be innovative and look at new ideas.
Mohisa says as governments around Africa run out of sufficient borrowing capacity to meet their growing infrastructure needs and credit appetite for sovereign lending sources diminishes, public-private partnerships are starting to constitute an important channel to attract private sector financing for infrastructure projects.
I need political leadership to take responsibility. I need African financial services to start looking at how do we cross the border of the unknown and invest in digital startups. As bankers, you look at what is your credit history, what is your capital stock. How do you ask those questions to a tech startup?
Transport Principal Secretary Esther Koimet has said the government will continue to invest in infrastructure to spur economic growth. O'Brien Kimani for Business Insight.